March 21st, 2018.
Yeon-woo adjusted his clothes as he walked across the Incheon airport terminal. His head was shaved, and a Korean flag shone brightly on the arm of his neat military uniform, clearly indicating his status. He is looking at a photograph of his brother who was missing from 5 years and he recently found out he died. He got a box from a random person, which was told to be his brother's box. He saw a photograph of his brother. In the photograph, his brother stood in front of a shabby house wearing some kind of medieval armor. Next to him were people with unusual appearances. Had he been filming a movie somewhere? He wondered. Were twins with identical features, and yet they were so different from each other. But then, with only one day before the set, his younger brother had disappeared. So many things changed from that day onwards. His mother, who was already suffering from a chronic illness, passed away. After unsuccessfully searching for his brother for over 2 years, Yeon-woo gave up and enlisted in the military as a non-commissioned officer. Yeon-woo put the photograph down and examined the pocket watch. It was worn out and threadbare, as if it were more than 100 years old. It no longer ran, and only the Roman numeral for 12. I gave this to my brother as a present when they turned 19. The year they entered junior year in high school, the brothers had given each other a present on their birthday. Yeon-woo grabbed the pocket watch. It slipped and fit perfectly in his palm. It was just the right size. I knew it. He remembered how he wandered around all the shops, looking for a pocket watch that would perfectly fit in one hand. Yeon-woo turned the watch over. Whoa, I really needed a watch. Thanks, bro. This is way cooler than a digital watch, brother exclaimed with genuine delight. Yeon-woo, grinning ear to ear, responded, ha ha ha. What do you think? Your big brother's got good taste. But what is Ka? Chris, attempting to explain, leaned in and said, that's Cha, our family name. Tom remained skeptical, pointing out, how is this Cha? Look, it's spelled C-A-H. The atmosphere turned from humor to confusion as he realized the engraving mishap. Frustrated, he exclaimed, what? Damn it. Give it to me. Intrigued by his brother's frustration, asked, why? Now flustered, revealed, I'm gonna bring it back to the shop to have it fixed. In a light-hearted gesture, brother assured him, it's okay, don't bother. I'll take it. From now on, I'll just write C-A-H whenever I write my name. And with that, the watch became a symbol of their unique bond and an enduring source of amusement in the years to come. As he ran his hand over the pocket watch, he pressed on a knob by accident. Click. Isn't it already broken? He thought. The knob slid into the watch, and suddenly a tick-tock. The stopped hour hand began to move.
To my older brother, who will listen to this sometime in the future.
He heard a familiar voice inside his head. Yeon-woo instinctively sprang to his feet. It was a voice he hadn't heard in 5 years, a voice he thought he would never hear again, his brother's voice. His heart started to pound crazily.
By the time you hear this, I guess I will already be dead.
He was not hallucinating. Yeon-woo checked to see if there was a speaker inside the pocket watch but found nothing. The voice was really inside his head. How is this possible? He thought.
I am sorry. You all had a hard time because of me, didn't you? I just wanted to find a medicine for Mom. I thought I could return home soon. But time went by too quickly.
What? It was at this moment that his eyes grew strained. Whoosh! Suddenly, a flood of his brother's memories passed in front of his eyes like a panorama. It was a diary. October 9th, 2013.
A strange text message appeared on my phone. It said it would grant anything I wish, no other words. Just buttons so I could choose whether to join or not. Normally, I would have ignored the message, but I couldn't help thinking about Mom in the hospital looking more and more haggard every day. So I pressed the yes button, just in case my mom could be cured. Nothing changed. I felt very hollow. It turned out to only be a prank, but from that day on, I began to have strange dreams of climbing what seemed to be an infinitely tall tower with 99 floors.
October 12, 2013.
It was definitely not a dream. Everything was clear. It was real. A world with creatures like elves and dwarves, but also monsters like orcs, trolls, and dragons. A world where several universes and dimensions intersect in one place. The tower sits in the center, waiting for people from all over the world to climb it. As soon as a person breaks through the 99th floor, he or she will become a god at least. That's what I heard someone say. People pointed at the tower and called it the Tower of the Sun God, obelisk, but that doesn't mean a thing to me. The only thing that matters is that somewhere in this tower is an elixir that can cure all diseases, the panacea. With that in my hand, I can save Mom from her illness.
October 28, 2013.
Was able to team up with some like-minded friends to start climbing the tower. Still, it wasn't easy at all. We had to kill all sorts of monsters, and we faced mortal dangers. This place may look like a game, but it's not.
November 9, 2013.
I've made up my mind. I tried explaining this place to my brother, but whenever I face him, the words won't come out of my mouth. Do I say, there's a world called the Tower, and I'm trying to find some medicine there.
December 1, 2013.
My teammates and I named our team Arthur. Arthur is the best in every single way in teamwork and in individual skills. We are at the top of our game. We rapidly broke through several floors, and there is no one in the tower who doesn't know our name. I might be able to get a hold of the panacea much faster than I thought.
September 7, 2014.
Our climbing speed has slowed. I thought I would need only half a year, but now I might be here for one more year.
November 11, 2014.
We had a fight with some high-ranking clans who see us as an eyesore. We now have more obstacles to overcome.
February 31, 2015.
Negotiations have broken down. War has begun.
July 2, 2015.
The alliance of clans we're fighting has just collapsed. Arthur, which started with only 12 people, is now one of the 10 largest clans. All of our teammates are high rankers, and I, Arthur's leader, have risen to 9th place.
March 4, 2016.
I've fallen in love.
September 19, 2016.
Another war has begun. There's a fresh enmity between Arthur, which wants to climb higher, and other high-ranking clans who want to maintain the status quo. I've been trying my best to persuade them, but it isn't easy.
January 2, 2017.
Arthur is now in 5th place. However, the war hasn't ended, and everyone is too tired.
June 6, 2017.
We found a traitor in our clan. We managed to kill him before he could rise up against us. But it was enough to cause a rift within the team. Everyone has started to distrust each other. Members are leaving the clan one by one.
July 1, 2017.
My body feels heavier. I have been poisoned.
October 30, 2017.
Half of the clan is gone. We keep on losing battles. And now we don't dare climb to higher floors. I tried asking around about the elixir, but I couldn't find any information about it. And my body is slowly breaking down.
November 1, 2017.
The person I loved left me with a dagger to the heart. I barely blocked it with my skill, but I could not continue suppressing the poison. My body is starting to rot.
December 30, 2017.
I miss my brother.
February 1, 2018.
I'm the only one left in Arthur. How did things go so wrong? Is it because I trusted people too much? Or is it because I was too absorbed in my own needs and neglected to look after my teammates? Or is it because I left my family?
February 28, 2018.
On the last day of February, I finally got my hands on the elixir. Now, I need to find a way to send it home, but there's no way. I can't leave the tower even if I wanted to. I'm surrounded by other people. Maybe they think I will treat my poison with it if I leave. Everyone is coming to kill me. There is no one left by my side. Now I know. There is only one person I can trust, but I cannot show them my weakness. This is the end of my diary. I believe that if I leave this behind, my brother will find a way to come to this place. If it's you, Young, you can retrieve the elixir and bring it safely to our mom.
The message ended. Speechless, Yeonwoo quickly examined the pocket watch again, just in case he could find another trace of his brother or another message hidden inside. However, he couldn't find anything. Yeonwoo sat down heavily on the sofa, continuing to hold the pocket watch without saying a word. It was scratched in several places and missing its minute hand. He felt like the experiences that his brother had gone through on the other side were appearing right in front of his eyes. Yeon-woo slowly wound the knob once more. Click. To my older brother, who will listen to this sometime in the future. By the time you hear this, the recording of his brother's voice started again from the beginning. After that, Yeon-woo rewound the knob,
starting the succession process.
At that moment, a small screen popped up behind his retina. It was an interface system he had managed to connect to the tower. His body began to change. Swoosh. Something was wriggling inside his lower abdomen. Yeon-woo woke from the overflowing thoughts. As he opened his eyes, a transparent panel popped up in front of his eyes. It was true. All of it. He had been hoping it was a lie. He would have preferred if it had only been a dream or hallucination, but it wasn't. It was true. Yeon-woo's expression grew grim. He finally knew everything his brother had gone through. Even the identity of his brother's killer. The reason why his brother had returned the way he had after 5 years. The tower was a place that could turn someone into a god. But to Yeon-woo, it was nothing more than a lawless area where people bit at each other's throats. And his brother had been bitten by the starving demons there. If that's the case, he spoke out loud, I will return the favor. He would follow their rules. I will give it back equally to you all. Yeon-woo had gained his brother's abilities, and he was now a player who had the minimum requirements to climb the tower. It was his time to come forward, and grief disappeared from his eyes, leaving only cold fury behind. When talking about Obelisk, his brother had said that it might look like a game, but it was real. Now, he understood why. Currently, I have cold-blooded as my trait. This was a talent Yeon-woo already possessed because of his training as a professional soldier. Under the Skills tab, he saw a list. Eyes of a dragon, sees the truth, can partially peek into an object's or person's abilities. The draconic eyes were the only skills his brother had left behind for him through the succession process in the pocket watch. Okay, now, let's just do it. Yeon-woo took a deep breath. It was clear to him that, compared to other players, he was starting off with an advantage thanks to his brother's help. Even so, there was a long road ahead of him. The image of his brother in the photograph surfaced in his mind. You only wanted me to find the elixir and then live the rest of my life peacefully. But, he clenched his fist, his veins bulging. I don't think I can just let things go. Yeon-woo proceeded to sort out his personal affairs. Sergeant Cha, what are you talking about? You're leaving the army so suddenly. His commander sounded furious over the phone, which he'd expected. However, Yeon-woo did not specify a reason for his application. I'm sorry. Yeon-woo hung up right after apologizing. The only thing left was his house, and he put it on the real estate market. It had been empty since he left, and there was no excuse to keep it around. He didn't want to have a place to come back to. He bought several items, filling a new backpack with simple clothing and as many combat rations as he could. He also equipped himself with dozens of knives that he'd used in the army, and some survival gear like first aid kits. He thought about buying firearms and bombs from the black market but dismissed the idea. The tower was built to test a player's skills. It's better to avoid those things. Besides, if I can't find a regular supply of the ammunition, those items will become a burden. As soon as everything was ready, Yeon-woo went to a lonely park early in the morning, wearing jeans and a black hoodie with his hood pulled over his eyes. He slung his backpack full of supplies on his right shoulder. Considering the time difference between Obelisk and the real world, it must be about a week since the last round began. To enter the tower, he had to go through a place called the tutorial first. It was designed to test players who wanted to enter the tower. Entering it a week late would be a disadvantage, but Yeon-woo still decided to enter. As Yeon-woo organized his plan step by step in his head, he wound the knob of his brother's pocket watch backwards. Click! A cluster of lights appeared in the middle of the park, and a shadow suddenly sprang out, swirling around to form a door. It was the gateway to the world of the tower. Yeon-woo stepped through the door without any hesitation. His eyes were colder than ever. From now on, I will make sure that all the people beyond this gate know who they messed up with. I am Cha Jang-woo. The gate closed behind him. You have now arrived at floor 0, the tutorial hall. Yeon-woo frowned as the bright light pierced his eyes, making them tingle. His vision shook violently, and he felt dizzy, as though he were on a high-altitude flight. He felt something wriggling inside his body, steadying the spinning world around him. The motion sickness soon subsided, and Yeon-woo could look around more comfortably. He found himself in a passage that ran straight ahead. The walls were made of rock, and the ceiling was studded with stones that glowed with light at regular intervals. The tower served as a gateway and as a test to assess participants who wished to become a god. The tower didn't accept just any player, so candidates had to prove that they were worthy. The tutorial location where players were tested was often called Floor Zero. The people who hurt Jiang Wu were just past this place. Just by closing his eyes, Yan Wu could recall the scenes from the diary and picture the faces of those who had betrayed his brother and driven him to his death. However, he didn't get agitated and kept his head as cool as possible. Just wait a little while longer. I'll be there soon. To enter the tower, he had to pass the tutorial with a high score, and not just any high score. It must be so high that I'll be in first place. Of course, it wasn't going to be easy. The tower was connected to numerous dimensions, spaces, and worlds. Only the most capable could participate as players. Yan Wu could only be considered a strong candidate among those from Earth. However, the tutorial is also the place where I can obtain the qualification. His brother had possessed a very weak body before he'd started climbing the tower. However, he'd still passed the tutorial and even reached 6th place in the rankings in the shortest amount of time ever. He didn't know how long he'd been walking when a blue glow suddenly appeared in the air. Ohio. A guest at a time like this, I almost missed you and let you pass. A portal opened, and someone dropped down from it. In an instant, Yan Wu instinctively stepped back and took a combat stance, crossing to daggers in front of his chest. The stranger's appearance was bizarre. It was short and only reached to his waist, and it had bumpy, scabrous skin. The mere sight of the creature filled him with disgust. It was a monster called a goblin. However, it had a different demeanor from the goblins he'd seen in the diary. Greetings. I am the guardian of Floor Zero, Eve-like. It's our destiny to meet like us. Why don't you give us a round of applause? Ohio. Yan Wu lowered his daggers. The guardians belonged to the tower and were responsible for leading the players throughout the trials. Ho, you trust me? That's because it's good to keep a guardian's advice in mind even if it seems trivial. Oh my, I guess you know a little bit about us. Since you're wearing a mask, I thought you were shy. Anyway, it should be much easier to talk now. Eve-like began explaining with some light jokes. The tutorial is divided into 7 sections, from A to F. Each section has a different environment and a different challenge. You will be scored according to how you perform the challenges within a restricted amount of time. At the end of the tutorial, all your scores will be added up, and the results will be announced. Yan Wu already had a rough idea of the rules thanks to the diary, but to avoid suspicion and confirm his information, he asked, "Do I have to pass all 7 sections? What are the benefits of getting a higher score?" Players are given rewards according to their score. After all, shouldn't there be some motivation for players to get better results? The tower and the guardians are very thorough in that regard. Ohio. Players have 30 days. It's up to you to allocate the time for each section. However, Eve-like smiled as he adjusted his monocle. This round started a week ago, and there are only 3 weeks left. What do you want to do? Do you want to wait until the next round? The frontrunners have already used this time to run far ahead, and perhaps latecomers won't be able to catch up at all. However, a slight smile appeared on his lips. That's what I was expecting, anyway. Eve-like was indifferent to his reaction and continued explaining. Although this place is called a tutorial, it's still quite difficult. We usually advise players to organize a party of 3 to 5 people when going through each section. It increases the chances of proceeding smoothly. That means I get a higher score if I pass a section alone, right? Yes, but it will be much harder. Eve's eyes glittered as he realized what Yan Wu was thinking. He smiled broadly, making his fangs stand out even more. The tower grows according to the player's achievements. The score will be adjusted according to a player's individual achievements, so you don't have to worry about that. His muscles began to tighten, his blood circulated faster, and his mind grew lucid. Eve-like took a step back. He had already noticed that Yan Wu wasn't likely to listen to any more advice. There had been players like him before, and they ended up facing one of 2 possibilities: rushing forward overconfidently only to get fucked, or doing something that was truly a sight to behold. Either way, Eve-like thought it would be fun to watch, so he did not stop Yan Wu. If that's what you want. Eve-like lightly flicked his fingers, making a huge panel appear in the air. Beginning the trial of Floor Zero. Trial: you, a participant who aims to become a god, must prove yourself worthy of climbing the tower. Within the time limit, you must pass through 7 gates and 7 challenges. Let the trial begin. Evlike said goodbye with a dignified look as he disappeared like the wind. A timer appeared in his place. There are about 22 days and 21 hours remaining. Yeonwoo clenched his dagger and stepped forward. Let's do this. A new message popped up as he crossed the line dividing the starting zone from Section A. You have entered Section A. Either break through or deactivate all the traps in the section. There was another straight passage ahead, and he felt like the darkness was beckoning him. Yeonwoo carefully took a step forward, keeping his senses alert. Swish! An arrow shot across the darkness, and Yeonwoo instinctively turned his body aside. The arrow brushed past his left forearm, leaving behind a scorching pain. His clothes were torn, and blood splashed. Swish, swish, swish. More steel arrows flew towards him one after the other, all from different directions. It was impossible to track them. Yeonwoo crouched low and rolled forward, grabbing his backpack. It was thick and filled with clothing and equipment, so he could use it as a shield. 3 steel arrows struck his backpack with such strong impact that it felt as though his arm would come off each time an arrow hit. To manage to fully pierce through the backpack, their tips poking out as if they were showing their faces shyly. He managed to straighten himself up and stuck closely to a wall. Since he didn't know where the attacks were coming from, he had to decrease his exposure as much as possible, something that he'd learned the hard way. However, some traps had also been set up behind and below him. Snicked. Before he even realized what was happening, an arrow had pierced deep into his left thigh. Ugh! Yeonwoo felt as though fireworks were exploding right in front of his eyes. He gritted his teeth and tried turning around despite the terrible pain. Once again, arrows ripped through his backpack. This time, they penetrated his left shoulder, forearm, and ribs. Next part coming soon. Please subscribe for more chapter.